All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. We will be viewing the 2021 FYSA Presidents Cup presentation this evening. I have just a couple of housekeeping rules here for everyone. So all attendees are muted automatically upon entering the webinar. We will be stopping periodically for questions, so if anybody would like to speak, you can use the raise hand function on the control panel or the question box on the control panel if you'd like to just type in a question. All right, and then lastly, the session is being recorded and will be available to watch shortly after the presentation concludes. So I will be turning it over to Joe Hartley now to kick us off. Joe.
Hi, I'm Jill Hartley, the Director of Competitive Services at FYSA. I have been here for 3 years now. Many of you have seen me on the fields. Fun fact, I am the blonde lady that you see. A lot of times I just sit there and nobody asks who I am, but this is me. So feel free to come by and say hi anytime. I'm usually at all the sites. Love to hear your opinions on things. Here I have with me Jonathan Spradley. He's my cohort. He's usually at the fields with me or at a different location. Jonathan, tell them something about yourself.
Hey everybody, I've been working with Jill here for about 4 years now. I've been with FYSA going on my 5th year. My job mainly is handling logistics. Jill gets the schedule out and I kind of take care of a lot of the rest, getting work with the assigners and medical and stuff like that. So I've been doing that for a while now. Also with us is Joel Dragan, our Executive Director.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining as well. I'm starting to recognize a lot of familiar names on these webinars, so thank you to those of you who have really been taking advantage of them. We've received almost exclusively really positive feedback from these, so I think we're going to keep them up and really just here to listen. I'm still learning about how we do Presidents Cup here in Florida. I've been on the job since January from 2 other states, and it's a little nuanced difference everywhere else we go. So I've been on lots of these. You guys know the drill. Raise your hand, type into the chat box. We'll handle it. And yeah, I'll turn it over to these guys who have been doing a great job on all the competition. So thank you, Jill, Jonathan, and yeah, take it away.
Thank you, Joel.
Okay, the 2021, the biggest note is that they are going to include an 18/19 group. Many of you will recognize this from a couple years ago when we made the age change. So this year, because of COVID and the 19s missed their chance, they're allowing us to group 18s and 19s together for Presidents Cup. This will mean your team will be designated as a 19U team, but you don't have to put 19Us on it. It's just in case you have some of those kids that did not go to college or are coming back from college and just want that last opportunity to participate. So we will also have a 19/20 group in our league play. That will give those kids an opportunity to participate in the leagues as well as the state leagues. Your local leagues will have the same opportunity to do that. It'll be up to them whether they want to or not, but we are opening that up to everyone. So the state leagues, FSPL, Sunshine Conference will all be running with a 19/20 group. So that's pretty much the brand new stuff. Everything else is in here is gonna be pretty much the same. Important dates, all registration for cups open on October 1st. It closes December 1st, but not really. It only closes if the brackets are full and even, perfect. Last year, they instituted that we were to make groups of 4 instead of 3. So we keep it open until we can fill those slots. So even if you on December 2nd say, oh man, I forgot, go ahead and submit that application. I will tell you, like last year, we obviously didn't finish, but last year we had applications, like 2 wait lists, and then all of a sudden 2 days later 2 more showed up so we could make a bracket. So don't feel like, don't wait till that time, but if your team at the last minute or your manager forgets or whatever, there is not a fee to apply late. There's just not a guarantee that you'll get in the tournament. If those brackets are full and perfect, we'll keep you on a wait list in case somebody decides to remove themselves, which also happens. Injuries, all kinds of things. When it comes tournament time, they're like, yeah, we can't do it. So we'll look at that wait list to fill that spot. The Presidents Cup draw is a blind draw, always in Presidents Cup. So all the teams, Jonathan does a random draw, and then he posts it online. It's done by the computer, nobody else. The first round of those is always local, north, central, or south. So he'll put all the north teams in a grouping, all the central teams in a grouping, and all the south teams. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't work out where those numbers are even. So perhaps the most north of A may be included in the central group. So just keep that in mind. The roster freeze will be January 22nd. That's when you will want to remove all your secondary players will be removed from your roster. You can CP people, but all that stuff remains the same. President Cup playdates, these are also posted online. If you are more than 32 teams, you will start in round 1. I will tell you, typically in the past, it's always been boys groups, not too many girls groups that start in that round 1. And generally we have maybe 4 or 5 groups that actually start in round 1. This year, it's a little different. If you go to the next slide. Scheduling of these is going to be a little different this year. Those part 1s where you're only participating in 1 match that weekend, we will schedule them. You will be given 2 weeks to move those to a different location, if you so would like. Especially, this will give you the opportunity, if you have 2 Miami teams, to stay in Miami. Likewise for everybody else. So we will figure out what that communication looks like, and everybody will know prior to us sending out the schedule. Schedules typically, I work on them during Christmas break. So when we come back, they're usually posted right away. So it should give you ample time. Somebody did ask me today in a couple emails what our sites are. We have not even started with sites. We've just kind of been wrapped up in this whole COVID and trying to get our leagues up and running. But that will be something we're looking into fairly quickly. So if your club would like to host, please shoot an email to Jonathan or myself, and we will put you on the list. It's a great opportunity. It's fun. Most people that do it have a great time. So, just let us know. And you don't even necessarily have to have a team in order for you to host. So, anybody out there, I know Port Charlotte last year, step to the plate. We never got to go there, but they didn't have teams, and it was a new location for us. They had great fields, so just keep that in mind when you're planning your spring. If you would like to host for us, that'd be great. All the part twos are 2 games, so those will be north, central, south locations. As COVID lets us do that. So it'll all determine on how this pans out in the spring, but that's the plan. Elimination round, that is always usually at a big site. So everybody will be at the same location for the elimination round. Finals are always at Lake Myrtle. New this year because of COVID, we did give cup refunds and vouchers. Jonathan was in charge of that project, so I'm going to let him talk about that.
Thank you, Joe. Before we get started, anybody have any questions about hosting, any requirements or anything like that? If you do want to speak, you can raise your hand or just type a question in the question box. Just give everybody a couple seconds. All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and move on. So everybody had the opportunity to submit a request for either a refund or a credit for Presidents Cup for the upcoming season. The application deadline was on May 25th, so at this time we are not doing any more requests. If you did request a refund, all the refund checks were sent out at this time, so your club should have received them. If they haven't, and for some reason you are under the impression that you should be receiving a refund instead of a credit, feel free to email me, and we'll look into that. So if you did request a refund, you're looking at $650 if you did not play any games, and $600 if you played 1 or more games. And those refund checks, like I said, were sent directly to the clubs. So if you requested a credit, you'll be looking at a full credit for the next season if you played 0 games. If you play 1 or more games, you're looking at a $650 credit, and the next season's fee will be increased to $850. So those credits will be issued as a Got Soccer voucher. So everybody will be receiving an email with the Got Soccer voucher for the tournament. So those vouchers will be specific to each team. So it'll be a key with the team name in there. However, the vouchers don't have to be used by those specific teams. That's more just a reference for the clubs, so that they know which team they're getting those credits for. They can be used for any team, but they can only be used for one team. So just keep that in mind. It can only be one team. And so when you get that email, there'll be a little bit of instructions in there. It's really simple. Just on the first page of that application, there will be a spot to put that key. And you'll just enter that in. When you get to the last page, you'll be able to submit it, no problem. So that pretty much sums that up. If anybody has any questions on that, go ahead and raise your hand or put a question in the question box. All right, seeing none, I'm going to move on again here.
COVID updates. We are currently working on a back-to-play plan for game situations. Most people have just been doing training sessions. ODP has some protocols that we will use also. But for the most part, what we're asking is that you maintain social distancing, wear masks if you're a spectator. Spectator benches may not be closer than 10 feet from the sideline. I did have a question today saying, what if we don't have 10 feet? I guess my response would be, if you don't have 10 feet between the field that you're at and the next field, you're probably too close. So you may not be able to use fields that are right next to each other, 4 feet apart. So just keep that in mind. You may have to use every other field, stuff like that. Obviously, we travel with Presidents Cup. I mean, I'm hoping by the time we start that things are loosened up a little, but if they're not, please always be aware of where you're traveling to and what their rules are. I mean, the county has different rules, you must adhere to them. This year, we're going to encourage no team benches. If you want your players to sit, just have them bring a chair. That just would be a lot more helpful for clubs, not have to clean those. No communal water or communal snacks. The President's Cup is the first leg to get into President Cup Regionals and President Cup Nationals. It runs similar to State Cup. I will tell you, I am a chair on this, so I tend to love President's Cup. It's a lot more relaxed than NCS. It's not so cutthroat. So I mean, I prefer President's Cup to NCS. So when people tell you you're in the lower division, you're really not. They do the exact same competition. Yes, they are for teams that are at that top elite level, but you get good games, good play. I will tell you, 3 years ago when I got here and everybody was doing regional play, we never even had teams go to President Cup regionals. I believe we had one team from Immokalee that actually went to regionals and nationals, but that was about it. Since we changed the format more to a North Central South and made it more of a statewide competition, last year I believe we sent 4 teams to regionals and 2 to nationals. So that's a great feat. And if you talk to those teams, they had a great time. The Southern Presidents Cup this year will be in Decatur, Alabama, which is perfect for us because that's an easy drive. The national championships will be in Des Moines, Iowa. Not so excited about that, but hey. Any questions on that?
So that is all of our information this evening. So now would be the time if anybody has any questions. Any questions? One question.
I'd like to have you address a couple things if you don't mind.
Sure.
First of all, I mean, it kind of goes with your last slide, and I'd just like to point it out, and I'll let you guys do it. But the fee to go to the regional and potentially national championship, what it is, and just the fact that we pick it up.
The regional fee is $650 per team. All teams advancing from Florida, Florida picks up that fee for you. Similar national championships, if you advance to national championship, your team will be responsible for getting themselves there, but they will not have to pay the fee. Joel indicated to us that he has been in states where that's not the case. So, be thankful that we have that here still. Typically, we have given stipends in the past. We haven't had that meeting yet to see what that will be this year. But just know that, you're fortunate if you get there, all you got to do is get your body there with your team. No fees.
Yeah, there's many states that do not pay it, and we're very fortunate here in Florida that we do. So I do always like pointing that out. Jill or Jonathan, could one of you guys talk maybe just about the general competition level of this? I know you said it is a step down a bit competitively from State Cup and that cutthroat nature, but where do these teams generally come from? Where do they play? if someone's considering participating in State Cup or NCS, what can I guess they expect? Where do they generally come from?
I mean, I would tell you that, you know, the majority of our teams, and I've been trying to preach this since I got here, apply to State Cup. And because they've killed it in their local leagues or done that, what you don't realize is there are really top level leagues of teams that you never see. Now those teams, in order to qualify for their championships, Southern Regionals, they have to participate in State Cup. So while they may not play any in your local leagues, even your state leagues, they come back for State Cup, and then everybody's like, wow, where was that team? Like, so, I mean, it's, you know, I would say if you're in the top division of FSPL, you still have the opportunity to participate in Presidents Cup. The only people that are that don't have the ability are those that participate in the Sunshine Conference. So anybody in the Sunshine Conference or Mid-South for the Panhandle teams, they do not qualify for Presidents Cup. So if you want to participate in Presidents Cup, think about that before you sign up for those leagues. But like I said, I mean, I would even encourage, you know, FSPL teams to apply to Presidents Cup.
Coming from the Midwest, and specifically last year in Kansas, we hosted the regional Presidents Cup. And first of all, I was very surprised at the level of competition. If you're going to make it to just even a regional event, the level is quite high. It's no second-rate competition. And having been a part of the organization and running of the event, and I'm sure that Jill will echo this as well. It's every bit of what regionals is. I mean, they bring the same kind of infrastructure. They bring the same the staff who's there, the same kind of intensity. It's the same type of importance, and it trickles all the way to nationals. What I had always heard about these events was that it's truly just giving another group of teams an opportunity to see what a regional and national competition is like. And it's really, truly nearly an identical experience. Jill, I mean, I haven't seen Southern Presidents Cup regionals yet, but I assume it's very similar down here.
It is. And like I said, I mean, I would tend to say, I mean, and Jonathan's been there too, I think it's a little more low key as far as the, you know, parents, I would have to say. It just, for some reason, the atmosphere is just so much more fun. I mean, there's a lot of fun involved in it. The South, I mean, Joel hasn't been to a South event yet, but the South, they're a different group of people, you know, and they, you know, they're real friendly. I mean, you'll get to know everybody. So, I mean, I would encourage, you know, and I have been for 3 years now, our numbers for Presidents Cup should be a lot higher than they are for State Cup. But year after year, that doesn't come to fruition. So I would encourage you to talk to your DOCs and, you know, talk about that. I know a lot of people use that saying we were a State Cup team, so come join us. But it's not very much different to say you were a Presidents Cup team too, and especially if you are that Presidents Cup team that made it to regionals and went on to nationals.
Completely agree. That's all I got. I just wanted to add a couple points.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel. Did anybody have any questions? Still taking questions.
Were those sincere thank yous, or do you guys want to get to dinner here?
No, I appreciate it. I mean, that's why I told Jonathan, what's hard for me is I'm used to feedback. So yeah. Just talking to a blank screen is a little difficult to get that going.
We're happy to unmute anybody on the phone who might want to raise their hand here, but I think this is the content.
All right, well, thank you guys all so much. If you have any questions, you know, you can email me, jhartley@fysa.com. I'll get back to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.